This is a little piece from Nelson Mandela at the beginning of chapter 8. It's a chapter called Why the White People Love Mandela, Why the Conservatives Hate Castro. Nelson Mandela speaking on the 26th of July 1991 in Matanzas, Cuba. The crushing defeat of the racist army at Quito Carnavale was a victory for the whole of Africa. The decisive defeat of the apartheid aggressors broke the myth of the invincibility of the white oppressors. The defeat of the apartheid army was an inspiration to the struggling people inside South Africa. Without the defeat of Quito Carnavale, our organizations would not have been unbanned. The defeat of the racist army at Quito Carnavale made it possible for me to be here today. And what this chapter goes into is similar to the race and slavery in the British Memory chapter, the selective way in which history is used as a weapon. Often we're given the impression that apartheid ended just because of enlightened liberal morals, just the same reason slavery ended, enlightened liberal morals. What happened in reality was there was a military struggle along with the resistance here in the West and the resistance, more important resistance over there in South Africa itself. There was a military struggle going on in Angola in which Cuba was involved. Cuba sent troops to Angola to be on the side of the MPLA in Angola, and this goes into all of that and shows the context in which apartheid actually fell and the selective way in which certain black freedom fighters are remembered as heroes and certain, whether they're black or not, freedom fighters are remembered really simplistically as demons, not based really on what they do, not based really on whether or not they leave their people in a good or bad condition, simply based on their relationship to Western power. Clearly politics is a dirty game at every level, whoever you are involved in it, whether you're a revolutionary, whether you, whatever you do within politics, right, there is going to be, if I was the person, in charge of a country right now, I'd be faced with decisions that I would consider unpalatable. And it's only when it comes to enemies of the West, a lot of the liberal, conservative, mainstream journalists suddenly become unable to have nuance. Suddenly become, this person's a demon and this person's wonderful, as long as, their relationship to us is good. So I'm just trying to show the way in which a lot of the journalistic mainstream is governed by interests, just like foreign policy, not by a real rational analysis of what people have done for and on behalf of their people. It also goes into a lot of the medical assistance that Cuba provides countries around the world, some of the poorest countries in the world, etc, etc, etc. None of that to romanticize Cuba and say Cuba doesn't have problems. One of the arguments I've always made is Cuba has many problems. I haven't been there yet, so there's also that side of it, and I own that up front. But my argument has been, compared to many of the most comparable countries, Colombia, Brazil, Mexico, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the demonization of Cuba in the West doesn't seem to really be coming from a place that's genuine, given that many of these people seem very unconcerned about the fate of civilians in all those surrounding countries for some odd reason. Particularly in Britain, where you have Commonwealth countries in the Caribbean, way higher murder rates than Cuba, with problems with police brutality, with greater inequality, with very serious problems that seem to not interest people in Britain. Yet, apparently they have some undying concern for the civilians of Cuba. That's not to say that there are not abuses in Cuba, it's to say that I don't believe a lot of the concern for Cubans is genuinely concern for Cubans, in my humble opinion. And this chapter tries to go into the logic I've used to reach that conclusion.